Welcome to the KPC Daily Devotional. Let's begin by reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, starting at verse 9. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other. But woe to one who is alone and falls, and does not have another to help. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though one might prevail against another, two will withstand one attacker. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. Today, I'd like to share a devotional in touch from my second volume, Your Inner Dog, Finding Your Place in the Human Pack. It's nap time, and the dogs leap onto the bed to join me. I always naively assumed that dogs would want to sleep in a pile, a comforting throwback to the closeness of the litter in the womb. But no, they fan out. Barkley likes to be on or near my pillow, or sometimes against my hip. Gracie curls up near the foot of the bed. Schnauzers Braxton and Cullen like to sprawl somewhere in between. The big dogs would join in if they could, and sometimes as a special treat, old Maud would be helped onto the bed. She would lie over along one side, very still, so no one would notice her and make her get down again. So instead of clumping together, they spread out, sort of. Because if you follow it from dog to dog, they form a chain. Every one of them is touching one other. It might just be a paw, the tip of a tail, the frizz of a whisker, but they keep literally in touch. I'm sure it's a defensive mechanism. Most of the time it's too hot in our part of the country to sleep in a puppy pile. They'd rather spread out to keep cool. But they want to know what's going on around them. Where's the rest of the pack? What are they doing? If one hears something and is awakened, that is usually our neurotic little dog Gracie, her waking twitch is broadcast through the rest of the chain. And within 1.5 seconds, yes, 1.5 seconds, all of them are awake, usually including me. It's a truism that there is strength in numbers. In Ecclesiastes, a little red book of the Old Testament, the preacher reflects how two are better than one. Two can help each other up if one of them falls. They can keep each other warm. They can protect and defend one another. Another wisdom writer, Proverbs, points out just how iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Consequently, when Jesus sent out his disciples on a mission trip, he sent them in pairs, not alone. And they didn't make individual converts. They formed churches, that is, groups of new disciples who were supposed to meet together and support and encourage one another. The need for togetherness, for connectedness, is part of our pack center. It's hardwired into our brains. It's there in what I call our inner dog. We can function alone, in isolation, when we must, for short periods. But people who choose to be isolated all the time, they drift into antisocial behavior. Unabombers and school shooters are loners. Their pack center is broken. It's important to stay in touch. Churches create prayer chains. Neighbors create neighborhood watches. People create charities and civic clubs. The purpose is to be part of a network of other people for communication, for support, for protection, for friendship. We rest better when we know we're in touch. The challenge is to find the right balance. Touching, but not piled in too close. Spread out, but not isolated and alone. There are people, of course, for whom closeness means clinging to the point of smothering. Others, they say they need their space and want distance, and they run away into isolation. Both extremes, which are generally just flip sides of the same coin, are unhealthy. Smothering drives others into isolation, and isolation kills, quite literally. To be your own dog, but stay connected just enough, is probably an art. Another interesting thing that Barkley does is walk beside me with his whiskers barely brushing the calf of my leg. The constant tickling drives me crazy, and I'm always afraid I'm going to step on him by accident. But he takes great comfort in knowing that I am right there beside him, and that he is right there beside me. He's always done it, and even more now as his eyesight grows compromised with age. Whenever I enter the room, the other dogs might bark and leap, but Barkley will work his way forward through the melee until his whiskers touch my leg. The corollary to staying in touch with other people is stay in touch with your master all the time. It's calming to know you are not alone, reassuring that you are still on the right path. Like keeping in touch with the rest of your pack, it does not mean you're absorbed and lose your individuality, or else you have to flee into isolation or rebellion. No, the Master who made you wants you to be the distinctive and individual personality you are. That you are an individual in touch. This too can be a bit of a balancing act until you find that ideal of healthy closeness and healthy independence. It's worth the search, though. My dogs wouldn't have it any other way. I hope you have a blessed day ahead. Goodbye.